Welcome to Education Policy. It's good to be with you all today. A little unexpected, but I'm glad to be here. And since I am here, I'm going to open us in prayer. So please pray with me. Father, we just thank you. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you in the midst of things that are busy and hectic and all, that you find times to show us that you love us and you care for us. So I ask for your wisdom as we debate things for education for our students in Alabama. So give us your wisdom this day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Clerk, I'll ask you to call the roll.
Representative Collins.
Here.
Representative Baker. Representative Drummond. Representative DuBose. Representative Daniels, excuse me. Representative Estes. Here. Representative Fincher. Representative Gidley. Here. Representative Gray. Representative Holk-Jones. Here. Representative Morris. Here. Representative Paramore. Representative Pascal. Here. Representative Smith. Here. Representative Woods. Quorum is present.
Thank you. We're going to try to move a little faster today, and I see Representative Robertson here, and so we're actually going to start with the last bill, Senate Bill 229, because I believe we've already heard this House bill.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is just a companion bill for HB 329, and it's already passed through the committee in the Senate too, so this was just whichever one could.
Representative Pascal.
I move for a favorable report.
Thank you, sir.
Second by Representative Estes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The bill is given a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Chairman.
Next, we'll call up Senate Bill 157, and we had some debate on this, and I want to thank Chairman Garrett for continuing to work with all the interested parties, because I happen to know there are lots of interested parties. So thank you for continuing to work, and we'll let you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the bill that we talked about last week that, number one, it would authorize teachers to exclude disruptive students under circumstances. It would provide for procedures for returning the student to a class, authorize the principal to suspend a student who's been excluded from the classroom 3 times within a month, require boards to adopt policies and processes to deal with this type of behavior. We grant some civil and criminal immunities. It complies with the federal and special education law and follows the due process bill that the chair and Senator Smitherman have passed in the past, and it passed the Senate 34-0. You had an amendment last week, and I have been working since that time with representatives from the School Board Association, the Superintendent Association, class, and with AEA. And you have before you now an amendment that pretty much has that amendment. I think we're all, since this bill was presented last week, I've heard more stories within my district of situations like this. And, you know, this week there was a video that went viral about a student slapping a teacher, not in Alabama, but I've since found out that this is happening and that there's been abuse in Alabama and teachers have been assaulted in Alabama. So it's timely. I think it's appropriate. I believe the amendment takes care of most concerns.
Do I hear a motion to adopt the amendment?
Motion.
Motion by Representative Estes, second by Representative Pascal. All in favor of adopting the amendment, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The amendment is adopted. So now that we're already talking about that, anything about that you'd like to share?
This just adds to this the specialty schools to the point here. One concern was the fact that this would put the principal and teacher at odds about having to agree upon a discipline. This basically says the principal would make that call. It requires that that the teacher has to follow an approved classroom management plan, and that approval plan has basically 10 days to be approved from the time it's been submitted. So there's some guardrails there. And it requires that the state board adopt a model policy. Local boards may adopt that policy. If they don't want to do that, they have to adopt another policy that at least meets those minimum standards there. That's the main points, I believe.
Thank you. Representative Smith.
Yes, I appreciate the efforts you've made getting superintendents, principals, and teachers and their representatives working together. And I feel like that's one of the important things we need to do is make sure they're all on the same page and that the principal is supporting that teacher and the superintendent and the board's backing those administrators. So I do believe that we need as much power in the classroom as possible so that those students understand that the teachers have some authority as well. So at the appropriate time, I'd like to ask for a favorable move on this.
Thank you. Representative Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you for bringing this. I had no idea that students couldn't be removed from classrooms because of behavior. I don't know where the gap came in. I guess because my kids had been out of school for so long, and I was able to be put out of class. So, and
I won't ask any questions.
yeah. I just talked too much. I did. I talked entirely too much. But the gap that actually took place, I don't know where we dropped the ball between parents, teachers, and the school, where we have to have all of these devices or these rules put in place that were already put in place that was some kind of way just dropped along the way. But thank you for picking the ball back up and running with it.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? We have a motion by Representative Smith for a favorable report as amended and a second by Representative Morris. Any, well, we've already had discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The bill is given a
Thank you
favorable
very much.
report.
Thank you, committee.
Thank you. Representative Woods is out today. Are you? Okay. Representative Estes, House Bill 331.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If you don't mind, I may just do so from here.
That is fine.
In the interest of time. Yes, Mr. Representative Woods is back in his district today at an important meeting he could not miss. He'll be back with us tomorrow. But he has asked me if I would to carry HB 331. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read a couple of notes that he had made here. It's just one page, and I can make it through quickly. HB 331 amends current code that addresses the A to F report card that the state assigned. Both ways. You could have a homeschool student or a private school student come in and have some really, really strong grades that school system might wish they could count. But more often than not, it seems to work in the reverse. And I agree with the representatives. That's the reason I offered to carry this bill for him. I only think that it's fair that our public schools have a chance to get that student in class and make sure that he or she is up to speed before those grades are counted against them on the state report card. So there's the presentation.
Representative Morris.
I talked to Representative Woods, and I told him, thank you for bringing it, because we do have it where we have students that come inside the public school system who have been taught doing homeschooling, and you don't know exactly what it is that you're actually getting when they come in. So at the appropriate time, I move to get a bill of favorable report.
Thank you, Representative.
Representative Gidley.
Yeah, I just had a couple of things here, and I talked to Representative Woods about this as well, and I don't have a problem with this bill, but you mentioned something, Representative Estes, that just prompted a question. So the school could make it a decision to actually include a child's grade if they cannot at all?
No.
Okay.
We understand this bill actually could be to the school's detriment in those rare occasions where that private or homeschool student comes and would bring really, really good grades to there.
Okay.
But that's just a risk they're taking. So no student coming out of a non-public system or a homeschool would come and their grades would not be counted toward the school's overall grades on the report card for 3 years.
Okay, good.
Regardless if they're good or bad.
Okay, I just.
I'm sorry if I
No,
misrepresented that.
that's fine. It's probably my hearing, my listening, so.
Representative Hope Jones.
Thank you, Chairman. And you shouldn't assume, so I just want to make sure, we are still testing these students.
Yes.
Their grade just does not.
Yes, ma'am. That is my understanding, correct.
The sponsor and I have had lots of discussions about this bill because I'm not a supporter of this. I think that we're trying to cherry pick what we do with accountability. We would like to include their growth because they anticipate a lot of that and not their achievement. I think that it distorts the A through F, and I do think that while we're still testing them, there is some danger in even our federal funding because I think we're supposed to be holding everyone accountable for all children. So I still have concerns, but I will continue to work with the sponsor. We have a motion by Representative Morris. Do I hear a second? Second by Representative Gray. Any other comments or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The bill is given a favorable report.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members.
Next, are you ready? We'll call up Senate Bill 3 by Senator Elliott, and I believe Vice Chair Baker is handling this bill. You can do it here because we're.
Thank you, Madam Chair. SB 33, the best I can do on this would be to read off some of the, I guess, would be referred to as talking points on this within this bill. This is referred to as the Assistant Administrator Accountability Act. This legislation amends the Students First Act of 2011. Positions may, and I would emphasize the word may, be considered contract employees. This will allow for higher pay, incentive pay, and increased flexibility in the employment of assistant administrative officers. This would provide that the employees such as assistant superintendents, assistant chief school financial officers, and assistant principals of a school system or a school hired on or after July 1st, 2024 may be considered contract employees should the local school system elect. This legislation was amended in the Senate that would include or allow for the Alabama Community College system to also participate in this as well. If the contract employment in one of these positions doesn't work out, the employee can revert back to their previous tenured position. However, their time under contract does not count towards tenure. This is permissive, not required. It's up to the discretion of the local Board of Education. However, once a board elects to employee assistant administrative officers enumerated within this bill above on a contract basis, they may not revert to the tenure process for these employees without the passage of a local legislative act. With that, then, I'll be glad to try to answer what questions I can.
There was a request late for a public hearing on this bill, and we are moving at the end of session, so we didn't have that. But would you like to speak on this bill? No? Okay. Any questions or comments? Representative Estes.
Just one quick comment. I just want to commend the representative on bringing the bill, and I think the most important thing here is, and I'm showing my true colors here as a former local Board of Education member, that's what makes the difference to me in this bill is it's up to each individual board as to whether or not they want to adopt this at the local level, and I'm very, very supportive of local control, so I appreciate that being made part of this process.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Do I hear a motion?
Well, if I may, then, I do have then, this would be an amendment.
Oh, do we have that?
Actually, I don't think that it's, If so, then I can wait. I can get this was brought to me just, I guess, somewhat recent, and if I need to, I can work with that to do it on the floor, if that would be.
There's a copy right there. We can get copies.
We can get copies if you want to do it here.
We can do it here, if there's, okay. If we need to,
Can
if
you
we need to
explain
keep.
it without it in front of you?
Essentially, what this does, this would remove what would be the 10 days, and let me find it in the bill real quick. This would be one of the high points of this. There are some other minor parts to this. This will be on page 11, line 307. This would be okay. Page 11, line, okay, 307. Mine's not matching up here. It's within.
You want to do it on the floor?
Yeah, let me wait and do this. Might would be better on the floor. This isn't quite matching. Wait. I'm sorry, I actually had two versions, so I think I am prepared now. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, I apologize for that. All right, this would be on page 11, line 299, so I apologize for that mistake on that. Delete then 10 and replace with 30. So this would be within 30 days after the date of receipt of notice provided to a contract assistant. Then this is providing for some additional time in regards to that if they were not going to renew their contract. And that also occurs again later in the bill. Also, that same thing, I can give the exact page. That would be actually on page 12, line 326. Same thing there, replacing 10 with 30. There are some other small
walk us through
elements. I
that?
can take that. I can take you through all of them if you'd like. Okay. Would you like? Okay, will do. Okay. All right. I'll begin. This would begin on page 9. Page 9, line 252. Page 9, line 252. And this would be before the word initial. And that you would insert probationary or. Probationary or. On page 11, line 299, that was one I just mentioned a moment ago, just reiterating on that one, page 11, 299, delete 10, replace with 30. So that one has been done. On page 12, line 315, insert the following before the period. So this would be before the period, page 12, line 315. The wording, this is a little bit lengthy on this, except where the contract assistant administrative officer has received satisfactory evaluations in each year of the contract, comma, in which case the burden shall shift to the employing board to show by preponderance of the evidence that the chief executive officer's stated reasons stated were legitimate and warrant the non-renewal of the contract. On page 12, line 326, delete 10 and replace with 30. That one was mentioned a moment ago. On page 13, line 353, insert the following after the period. This will be after the period. The circuit court shall schedule the hearing or assign a mediator within 5 days of the filing of a request for a non-jury expedited evidentiary hearing. On page 13, line 354, insert the following after the period. The 45-day period may be waived by both parties. And the last would be on page 19, line 502. Page 19, line 502, insert the following after the comma. After the comma.
502's not on mine. It's on page 18. It's 18.
Is it? Okay, well, I need to change that, okay? Let me see. So it's on page 18? All right, thank you then. Thank you, correct. Okay. That is correct. Page 18, line 502, insert the following after the comma. During a probationary, comma, initial, comma, or other contract, comma. And that completes the amendment.
While we're getting copies, is this it?
That would be it.
Are there any questions about the amendment or the bill?
Madam Chair,
Representative Paramore.
there's some of this I agree with in concept, but there's some points, but without having the sheet of paper in front of me, so I'll reserve that. But there's one or two items in there that I personally may have a little bit of a problem with, but
On the bill or the amendment?
The amendment, I'm sorry.
amendment.
But I'll wait till we all get.
Yeah, thank you. I'd be more than willing then to work together on this. So if we need, and once again, my apologies on this, on this amendment came in a little late in trying to work through all of that. But I'll be glad to work with you and any others on this.
Okay.
And any other entities that may have concerns with this amendment.
All right, thank you.
I also want to say that I really appreciate us trying to work on these bills before we get here. I think almost everyone that's come up has had different people work. Representative Smith.
This seems to have a lot to do with the 30 days as far as releasing a person, but what if it's the other way around? What if it's the assistant principal that is wanting to terminate their contract, and do they have a certain notice that they have to give?
I don't know that I fully understand. Can you repeat? I don't know that I'm understanding.
Okay, if a school system decides that they're going to end tenure, is that your purpose of the bill?
No, I mean, this would be for these administrative assistants.
To terminate their contract or to terminate their tenure?
Well, right, it'd be permissive by the local school system to make that determination for these administrative assistants if they're going to move to a contract instead of the tenure status.
Okay, all right. What if the employee wanted to initiate the status back the other way? Do they have an opportunity?
They have an opportunity one time
Okay, thank you.
to revert.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ethan. Representative Drummond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Baker, can you just tell me the rationale behind the increase from 10 to 30?
Could I permit then, Dr. Allison King, Dr. King?
This amendment came as this is what we're dealing with as our contract principal. So this bill is extending essentially our contract principal law to these other positions, the assistant principals and the CSFO, I believe, and there's one other category at the central office. So what we found when dealing with this with our principals is a 10-day timeline is not enough time for a principal to receive notice, make decisions, contact us, schedule a hearing, get information back. So we worked with the sponsor to extend that from 10 days to 30 days. That's all it does, is just give a little more time for our principals to navigate that dismissal process. And the sponsor is in support of this amendment. So,
That answer. Representative Paramore, did you have a question about the amendment?
Yeah, the 10 to 30 days, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's, personally, I think that's a legitimate time frame. But is it page 12, line 315? I got an X on mine. Does that mean it's crossed out or what? Or is that just where you?
No, thank you. That was something where at first, as I was reviewing the amendment first time for myself, and I had concerns with that as I did see where it did allow for there not to be a cause or reason necessarily stated, but then I saw later in the bill where it drew my eyes closer to the attention of that. So actually, there was a clause in there that sort of allowed for that. So anyway, so that was just my notes. So forgive me on that.
That's fine.
So
Well, I mean,
that would be included as part of it.
I guess part of my issue there is, I mean, if we're making it, for lack of better terminology, I'll use Pike County language. If we're making it easier to make moves here and there, you know, but then we're shifting burdens back and forth between entities on, you know, I mean, if somebody's gotten satisfactory evaluations each year, but then something comes up that may require action, you know, then I mean, they should be able to do that. But I wish, Madam Chair, it was almost like a line item veto. We could accept portions of this amendment and not other portions of the amendment, but I know that's not the case. So, you know, just seeing it and seeing it right here, that's to me, that one, and, you know, the circuit court shall schedule a hearing or assign a mediator within 5 days of filing of a written. I don't know about y'all's counties, but I know some of them 5 days is an awful short period of time to get the circuit court to do anything.
Yeah. Representative Paramore, I'll be willing to work with you and others on this, because I think this is still a little bit of a work in progress, particularly with this late amendment and such. So with that, then, I'd be more.
And I'd like to continue to work on a couple of these points.
I think that's how we get to that line item veto, is that we work on that, and we still have an opportunity on the floor. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Do I hear a motion to adopt the amendment? Motion by Representative Gray. Second by Representative Drummond. All in favor of adding the amendment, say aye. Any opposed? You can. The amendment is added at this current time. Are there any other questions about the legislation? Do I hear a motion? Motion by Representative Gray. As amended. Second by Representative Drummond. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the bill is given a favorable report as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you. Is anyone here to do Senate Bill 56? Okay. Well, he can't do it. You? No, but I may in just a minute. Okay, thank you. I think that's going to be up to me, so I'm going to turn the gavel over to the vice chair. Senator Orr did talk to me about this last night and this morning, and Nia actually said if there are questions I can't answer, that y'all would be here. So thank you. Senate Bill 56 is basically Senator Orr felt like there was a loophole in this. If a employee is convicted of a sex crime, where they can do a little plea bargain and they still get their retirement if they're close to that. And this would close that loophole, is what the goal of this is. And so what it actually does is that they would still, if they are convicted, they would still get their portion they contributed to their retirement, but they would not get the state portion. I'm happy to answer any questions. The gentlemen on the back row are happy to answer any questions.
All right, Representative Estes.
I'm just going to set the appropriate time. I'd like to offer a motion for a favorable report. And I'll second.
Representative Holt Jones.
If I read it correctly, it looks like previously earned benefits can be taken back.
That's what I'm saying, not the part that they gave to their retirement, but the part the state gave.
But previously earned, they've already gotten them. And so
No, it's their retirement.
Okay, so these are not anybody that is
It's
currently
just a
retired?
part of their retirement at this point, yes. Would you like to address that question in the back? Thank you. Just in case I didn't do it justice, thank you.
I think you were spot on. Under existing statute, if a member or retiree commits a felony in relation to their employment, then their retirement benefit is cut off at that point. So they receive back their contributions plus any interest, but they can't keep getting their pension after that point. So this would expand that to make sure that it encompasses certain sex offenses and child pornography offenses and closes the loophole that Madam Chair alluded to.
Okay, Representative Drummond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you, because is there a list of what those offenses are? I don't, I know that it's cited in here somewhere, but I didn't go back and look at that code.
Yes, ma'am. I brought a copy of the code, just one of them, but I do, the Chapter 6, Article 4A includes sexual offenses by school employees involving a student. And so that involves students under 19 years old who are victimized by school employees. And then the additional chapter that's alluded to, Article 4 of Chapter 12, involves child pornography offenses.
Child pornography?
Yes, ma'am, child pornography offenses.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Estes?
I just wanted to clarify a point, make sure I heard you state this correctly. Does this have to be a felony committed in the line of duty, so to say, in regards to their profession, or can it just be a general felony out in the general public they do on their off-duty time?
With respect to felonies in general, it would have to be in relation to their employment, but with respect to the child pornography crimes, this would encompass all child pornography crimes.
Okay, it sounds like we got a new bill we need to come back with next year and expand this, but I'm glad, thank you for clarifying.
Yes, sir.
Representative Morris?
Okay, Estes, I think he touched on a little bit of it. So when you saying that if they commit a felony, but the list is already drawn out, right, of the different felonies that they may commit, and if they commit one, their benefits goes away?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. This bill would create a list of the categories of sex offenses that
Not just sex offenses, because you said sex offenses, but then you said felonies also. So I'm just trying to see what other felony that you can get.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. Under existing statute, if a person commits a felony like embezzlement of funds from their employer or something of that nature that's in relation to their public employment, then that triggers the forfeiture provision. This bill would make sure that it closes any loop with respect to these sex crimes so that no one can try to argue that that wasn't in relation to their employment for some reason and avoid.
Okay, I'm not trying to touch on the sex crimes. I'm just trying to touch on the felonies outside of sex crimes, because there's a lot of felonies out there. So I'm just trying to see if because I heard retiree.
Yes, ma'am.
So if somebody's retired and they commit a felony, would that, not considering sex crimes, I'm just saying another felony, would that take away their benefits also with this bill, or is it already in play?
This bill would not change that, and currently, under the statute, if someone's already retired and already receiving their benefit, then unless it were discovered that they had committed some crime before their retirement that was in relation to their public employment, then the felony probably would not relate to their public employment. It would just be a separate, like you alluded to, just a general separate felony out there. That wouldn't trigger this forfeiture statute.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other,
Answered that.
any other questions, discussion? There has been a motion. Okay, question?
One quick thing right here, just reading here, let's make this clarification here. It says that if they commit a felony offense, if it is related to, arises out of, or in connection with his or her service in that public position.
Yes, sir.
So if they committed a felony that was not connected to that, that doesn't have anything to do with it?
That's right. That's right. Unless it's one of these, after this bill, it'll encompass these enumerated sex crimes, which would
Right.
trigger
Yeah,
it.
okay, all right, good deal.
Yes, sir.
All right, there's been a motion to give the bill a favorable report and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, then, the bill has been given a favorable report.
Thank you very much. Next, we'll call up Senate Bill 183. It's by Senator Hatcher, but I believe we've heard this before, and Representative Stubbs will be handling.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair and members. This bill, if you'll remember, it may have been prior to spring break, we passed House Bill 95, which is the remote testing bill for testing for virtual students throughout the state, all across the state. We passed that bill, and this is the Senate version of that bill, Senate Bill 183. They are companion bills, and just here today to have that pass through this committee so we have the best chance of it moving in one of the chambers next week.
I have a motion to give the bill a favorable report by Vice Chair Baker, a second by Representative Gray. Any other questions or comments? Representative Hope Jones.
And I apologize, I know this is already on the at the 9th hour, but people smarter than me can be on one device and do something else at the same time. Is there any way that we have any kind of provision?
Well, using the technology, there is actually a camera,
Right.
not connected to your computer. So it's a separate device that is actually a person is monitoring that person, whoever's taking the test. Also, prior to the testing, they will evaluate the entire room, make sure that there's no answers written on the wall. They look under your chair. They do all of those protocols in place, and the test is monitored that way.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a motion to give the bill a favorable report by Baker and second by Gray. Any other comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The bill is given a favorable report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll call up, and last, 7, Representative Morris. The Senate bill, we did it first. Senate Bill 206 is by, Senator Jones. I was about to call a representative, so it's welcome to here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is a bill that I believe came through this committee. It's already passed the House. The House companion deals with high school athletics, basically guaranteeing that our military men and women, when they move here, that their dependents will be able to be eligible immediately and play. Don't have to go through all the hoops and transfer portals because they're coming here as part of their service through no fault of their own.
We have a motion by Representative Paramore, a second by Representative Smith. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The bill is given a favorable report.
Thank you. That was easy. Appreciate y'all.
And we are. I was moving so quickly because we have a committee that would like to be in here at 2:30. And so, yes, if you've got something else, please, Representative Pascal, you've got something to share with the committee.
Yes, thank you. I would like to ask my page, if you would stand. This is my page from Pelham, Shelby County. She's a junior and also a captain of her golf team there. And I just want to say welcome to Montgomery, to your house.
Thank you. Good to have you with us. Did anyone else have anything? I do want to say thank you. I heard that we've prayed for my mom, and she is healing and doing better and hopefully on the road to good health. So thank you very much. We are adjourned.